Hi guys, we're back in the car for another episode of Let's Talk. So let's get into it. So this episode is really near and dear to my heart because we are talking about long distance relationships. And more specifically, what has helped me in my long distance relationship and what are the key points I think I would share with someone to advise them or to help them in any way that I possibly can on them being in a relationship that is also long distance. This is not for the weak. And when I say that, I mean that when it comes down to those moments where you just want to be with your person, but you physically can't because you can't see them, it's almost to a certain degree heartbreaking because all you want to do is be with your person. You just want to be with them. You want to cuddle. You want to just literally be in their presence, but distance is what's stopping you. So it can hurt. Like, I have been in situations where I've cried sometimes at night simply because I missed him and I wanted to be with him, but I live here and he lives somewhere else. So that is one of the hardest parts for me, is the moments where all I want to do is just to hug him and I just want to be near him, and it's just physically impossible in that moment because we're long distance. So again, like I said, it is not for the weak. Me and my boyfriend, we aren't as long distance as most people are, but it's still long distance. So I live in Texas and he lives in Connecticut, which driving, it's like a day and 4 hours, but it's still long distance because realistically we see each other maybe once every 3 months, and it could be sooner, but there's a lot of things that tie into it, like finances to be able to afford to go see the other person. There's taking off of work, there's buying plane tickets, like there's a lot that goes into it, and then like actually spending money when you do go see the person. So we make it work how we do. I'm at a point right now where we've been long distance for a little over a year and a half, and I love him. He is everything, but it's hard. And I literally had a moment like 4 days ago where I was crying because I literally just missed him so much. And I was just like scrolling through pictures on my phone. He hates taking pictures, so the very few pictures that I do have, I scroll through them and just try to remember like all of our good times in person, all of our good memories in person, because that's what really matters in those moments where you feel alone or you feel like that person isn't there, or when they literally aren't there. I didn't get into it. I have my little list here. Usually I have my laptop, but I'm in the car and I wrote everything down, so I'm really excited about this. So we're gonna get into it. First point is commitment and complete honesty. This is something that if you're committed and you feel that this relationship is something that's worth pursuing, then by all means, please do continue with the relationship. But if you have even an ounce of doubt that, I don't know if this is gonna work, then don't even pursue it, because then that little bit of doubt would probably send you into who knows what spirals of thought that's gonna just destroy any potential that could be into that relationship. Sometimes it can feel like you're single when you're alone simply because you can't be with your person. This one I relate to so hard because I would just have moments where I'm like, there's no way, like I feel like I did before when I was single, simply because I can't go to my person in person. At least that's how I feel. I'm not sure for other long distance relationships if sometimes they feel as if they're single again because they can't go to their person physically. But that's me. Sometimes I do feel like I'm single, and it's not because like he's not available, like I can't go to him to talk to him or whatever, but it's just because he's not physically there that I'm like, well, you know, because unfortunately with being long distance, sometimes you miss big events, or your person is not there for you for all of your events or all of your things, you know. For example, for Christmas last year, I really wanted to be with my boyfriend, but he was also with his family and it just didn't work out, but he was with me for Thanksgiving. So there's like different compromises that are made, and it is it's hard and it's tough because especially for like holidays, you really want to be around them, but you have to make sacrifices. And like for us, we choose different holidays where we're going to spend with each other, or family vacations, or whenever I just randomly decide to go see him, and then vice versa, sometimes birthdays, anniversaries, stuff like that. So it can be hard, but if you are committed to making it work, then you should be just fine. Then there's complete honesty. This one actually kind of brings me into point number 2, which is communication. So they go hand in hand. It can be hard because sometimes I think it's easier to be able to communicate with a person when you can physically see them. But it takes a little bit more effort to be open and honest, and well, not necessarily honest, but to be open about certain things whenever it's just over the phone or if it's virtual. One of the things I wrote down for this point number 2 is this is extremely important because the distance between the two people can easily become a habit where communication is non-existent with your person, whether it's simply communicating about something that's bothering you or about sharing your day with the other person. Oddly, I don't think, well, I'm not going to say I don't have this issue, but when it comes down to me communicating about some things that bother me, I do sometimes struggle with opening up to my boyfriend about it over the phone. But that's something that I just have an issue with, is opening up about whatever's going on with me or about things that bother me. Sometimes I just decide to keep it to myself and not talk about it, but that's not always the best option. So sometimes he does have to kind of pry it out of me a little bit. He'd be like, what's going on? Or if I just say like, I'm fine, he's like, so that means you're not. Look, what's going on? What happened? But I also sometimes struggle with just telling him about things that happened that day. So like a victory or whatever. Like whenever I had an actual like 9-to-5 job, I was promoted to like shift lead or whatever. And I didn't tell him about it. So like I just went about my day, and I ended up calling him like later in the day. But I was talking to my sister, and I was like, yeah, like I got promoted today to shift lead. And he was like, what? You didn't tell me that. And I was like, oh. So sometimes I forget to even share like my little things, or like share my victories with him, or share whatever's going on, literally just sharing my day with him. So I think it's extremely important that communication is key, and it is something that you're gonna have to rely on when you're with this other person, especially because, you know, you're long distance. So that is something that I do believe, for me personally, I'm still working on when it comes down to sharing what's going on with me and what's going on with my day, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, or just sharing something that's bothering me. Whatever it is, communication is the foundation of, or I believe one of the things that form the foundation of a long distance relationship, because you're not physically seeing this person. So a lot of times you're strictly relying on your conversations, which is key in this thing, because that's what's going to build a really beautiful relationship for you two, for when you get to that moment where you're not long distance anymore. I also think it's really important that if you are wanting to talk to your person, or the person that you're with, that you are being long distance with, that it is okay to sometimes not have anything to talk about. I literally will call my boyfriend just for him to be on the phone, so that like he's virtually there with me. Like sometimes I don't have anything to say, and I just want him to be there on the phone. And I think sometimes that's okay, and for those moments to not be addressed as awkward or weird, I enjoy a lot of our just like silent times on the phone, where I'm just on the phone and I know he's there, and it's like if he was there in person, or like at least that's how it feels to me. So then going into my third point, another really big thing is going on virtual dates. Now, it can be awkward depending on what you're doing. Usually what works for me and my boyfriend is we do a lot of movie dates. So we'll just watch movies, or we will start shows together, where I'll be watching it on my end, he's watching it on his end, we play and pause at the same time or whatever. It's also just kind of funny because sometimes one of us will be a little bit ahead, and so someone will finish a movie first or finish something first, and then the other person will still be waiting, like maybe have like 2 minutes or whatever. So it can be, sometimes it's like off, but like that's fine. Virtual dates are so important. I've seen so many videos about people that will go on a virtual date with their person, being like on the phone, they'll go eat at a restaurant, the other person will go eat at the same restaurant, they'll order stuff, and it's like a real date. It's just the person's there on like an iPad or on the phone or whatever. But I think that that's still super important, going on those virtual dates, as well as playing games. Like, we played card games over the phone. Like, we would do everything to still embrace the fact that we're in a relationship and doing the best we can with growing our relationship, even if it is long distance. Going back on those pictures, those are really the memories that help a lot when it comes down to finding something positive to focus on. Going into my fourth and final point is valuing the time together that you do have in person. Whenever me and my boyfriend do get together in person, we will sometimes, probably most of the time, do a lot. Like, we'll go out every day, doing something just to make the memory together, to have that memory of us being together in person, because there are already so many memories with us being over the phone. So I do think it's extremely important to value the time together when you are in person, no matter what that looks like. For us, like, we usually go to an arcade, we'll go bowling, we'll go to the movies, we'll go to dinner a lot, we'll just go have little random like lunch dates or breakfast dates, just to really spend time with each other. And a lot of these times we're conversating. Sometimes there's nothing to talk about and we're just sitting there like enjoying the food and looking at each other, and then sometimes we have a lot to talk about. Me personally, I'm a yapper. I have a lot to talk about, so I usually have a lot that I'm just sharing with him all the time. But even if it's not something that you're going out to do, like an actual date, then literally just us taking a nap together sometimes is like, it's the little things, or just knowing that he's there in person changes a lot for me. Again, that is this episode of Let's Talk. I really hope that these points do help whoever's out there in a long distance relationship. And if you could share your points with me, leave them in the comments of this video. I would love different ideas and things to do virtually with my boyfriend, if y'all have any advice on that. Thank y'all so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you next week.